Andreas, did you have any questions, or you just want to hang out? Well, like I said, we've talked about this, I think once. I've like told you about it a couple of times. We had a conversation about it the other day, but outside of that, this is a very new thing that we're doing here, and everybody's been so busy. So if you have any questions, feel free to jump in.
Thank you. I don't think I'm ready to ask questions. Just wanted to participate in the discussion and
Sure.
hang out.
Sounds good.
This came from the YouTube forum. Just wanted to clarify that decentralized trade takes one confirmation to execute.
So that's the downside about decentralized exchanges, is that you can't do like fast trading with it. You can't do like a whole bunch of little trades, because in order to confirm, essentially it has to wait for the Bitcoin blockchain, which is every 10 minutes, or I guess it's been closer to 5 recently. So so it's useful for the peer-to-peer fashion, for the trustless fashion, but it's not useful if you're trying to trade for pennies or try to get the absolute best deal possible. That really is where centralized exchanges come in, because they allow you that really fast and granular matching.
Okay. Max has a question. Are you planning to issue LTBcoin on additional platforms like Mastercoin or Ethereum? I guess
someone will do it at some point and create some kind of pass-through.
So what they're talking about is when Ethereum announced that they were going to do a fundraiser. I believe it was on Ripple's platform. I don't recall the exact. I don't recall the system. A peer cover. That was what it was. They set up a pass-through that essentially was they collected funds that they said were going to be used to buy Ether once it was available, and they issued tokens that were like futures on those Ether that they were going to buy. This happened in a non-official capacity. They kind of just did it, and the Ethereum guys weren't super happy about that. So I actually, the other day, maybe 2 days ago, I approached the Ripple Federation chat channel and was like, hey, we're releasing LTBcoin. I saw this happen last time. I'd like this to be an official thing, an officially sanctioned thing. So yeah, I am interested in they're essentially derivatives on these other platforms, but I'm really concerned that it's going to confuse the issue. So I'm a little bit torn on this. And again, if you have an opinion about this, I'm not really a financial tools guy. That's not really where I live. I'm just trying to figure out what the best way to do this is. And I want the free market, like I said, in every way that we can. I think that the free market should be determining our prices and should be determining the value that's being created here, because otherwise it's just arbitrary and I'm just making shit up. And if I want to do that, then it's a lot easier ways to do it.
Religion I've been doing, just making shit up.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. Making content is just just putting yourself out there and then figuring out ways to dress it up in a way that isn't going to make people, shake their head and walk away. I mean, that's the thing, is that, I don't want to get political on this, but I don't get political generally, because I feel like there are words you can say that just flip a switch in somebody's head and they don't want to listen to you anymore. And I think that that's like the worst thing that you can do, is to have somebody just completely tune you out. It's better instead to keep the conversation going and to try and understand what piece of the puzzle they're missing. I've said this before on the show, but that really is the thing, is you take yourself and you put yourself into the eyes of someone else, and you look out and you see what part of their understanding is flawed and what little piece of evidence they just don't have in their head at all. And then you tell them that piece, or you help them find that piece. And then, you wait. You don't tell them, oh, well, and now the world is complete for you. You just kind of wait for it to percolate down through their consciousness, and then they eventually get to it. So it's a slower process, but it's I think it's a more effective way to do it. I don't remember why I was talking about that.
No, that was good, man.
Adam, how can we use the proof of burn protocol to actually prevent, the success of LTBcoin on top of Counterparty? Because this is one of the things we discussed last night.
Do you mean, why isn't proof of burn bad for us?
Yes, exactly.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion about proof of burn, and I didn't understand it for actually quite a long time. And I missed the burn because of it. So when you're looking at how coins are created, there's more than one way to do it. The first ways were through mining, and that was done, through shared computational power. And then we had Mastercoin style fundraisers, where there's essentially a Bitcoin address or some sort of cryptocurrency address, and people send funds to it, and then based on a prescribed rate or some other set of rules, they get a new token in exchange for that. So that's like a IPO model, like a fundraiser model. There's another model, though, that's been used recently called proof of burn, and it was used by the Counterparty Protocol to create their, I believe it was 2.1 million coins or something like that. Basically, for every 1 Bitcoin you sent to a address that had no private key, where the coins would be lost and trapped forever, you would then, when they issued the tokens, get 100 XCP, which is the counterparty token. So it's called proof of burn because it's like throwing them into the fire. You can never get them back, and nobody else gets them either. So it's like a sacrifice. But on the flip side, it's kind of like when the Spanish got to the New World and burned their boats. It means that everybody is in the same situation, and we're all screwed if we fail. And nobody's getting rich off of this unless we all get rich off of this. Is basically kind of the ethos that goes into it. So if you look at it like a funding mechanism, then it's ridiculous and it's terrible and it's stupid because you're burning money, and that money could be spent on development, which is the whole point. So Counterparty burned 2,100 Bitcoin in its total process. So that's it's not a small amount of money, but they didn't need it. And what it meant is that they don't have any trust issues because there's not a giant pile of money sitting somewhere that somebody has to have the responsibility of choosing how to spend. So because there's no money to spend, you can't spend it badly. The developers actually have done quite well in this, I think, because if you're going to start one of these currencies and do something with proof of burn, unless it's a joke, which it could have been a hoax, you really have to believe that you're going to succeed because you're destroying your own Bitcoin in order to get the tokens. So that's the thing, is that I think it worked really well for him. If you look at the value of the XCP token right now, even when people don't understand it, haven't heard of it, and don't know what's going on, it's still selling for somewhere between 3 times and 10 times as much as the burn rate was. So people who burned coins, doesn't really matter. They already at least made their money back 300%. And the potential for this thing, because it has about 10% the supply of Bitcoin and a variety of other reasons, is really massive. So that's the proof of burn side. The reality for us is that it doesn't matter. It just means that it's actually a kind of drama-free platform because there's no money to be spent, and there's nobody who's going to get rich off of this except for people who actually burned Bitcoin just like everybody else. This is a problem that I had with Ethereum, was that I felt like there was a set of rules for founders and there was a set of rules for everybody else. I think that anytime you design sets of rules that have special rules for one person or one group of people to the detriment of everyone else, that's a problem. And I think that the community perceives these things to be a problem. So that's what I want to do here, is I want to have this be very reliable. And I'm putting my reputation behind it, is really what's happening here, is that the Let's Talk Bitcoin network, but me personally mostly, are putting my reputation behind this. And if it fails, it's going to be a failure that's going to be on me. So I'm very motivated for it to succeed. Broadly, I think that these coins, there's going to be a lot of them coming out that follow the same model, and they're basically reputation coins, because the reputation, we are monetizing the reputation of the individual. And just as, Snoop Dogg or Dre is going to do it, so will LTB first.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't understand proof of burn until now. So I'm glad you explained it, Adam. That was really interesting. It also leads me to now have a new theory on what happened at Mt. Gox. I think they just launched a massive proof of burn, 750,000 Bitcoin new currency called the Carpellus.
Oh, geez.
Just to add to this. First of all, here's a blog post, just quick and dirty on Facespin. I don't think it's even published yet on Counterparty, which really goes into some detail on proof of burn. One way to look at it is when you're mining Bitcoins, most of us have probably done that, you're actually burning fossil fuels, you're burning resources used to create your mining rigs, and you're converting that into Bitcoin. So you're basically foregoing a resource that you have or that you have purchased and obtaining another resource. So that's the really, in a nutshell, way to explain it to people.
That's a great explanation, by the way. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It essentially enforces scarcity by forcing you to destroy something valuable. And it's better than proof of stake because you actually have to do something with that stake, not just have it.
Yeah, and I think with the idea of Gox coin coming, this proof of burn model is actually a good reinforcement for people who have funds invested in Gox right now.
Can't do it yet, but yeah.
So does anybody else have any questions?
Adam, you were talking earlier,
in the LTBcoin forum about you not using SoundCloud. There's a competitor SoundCloud that you're going to use for
I don't know
audio.
if we're going to use them. Yeah, I'm acting opportunistically right now. We are, we have enough cachet in the Bitcoin space, and there are a lot of people who are trying to get into Bitcoin media right now that, people want to partner with us. So that's really great, and I'm trying to leverage that in every way I can. So I was approached by a competitor of SoundCloud's called Audur. I think that's how you call it. Anyways, that basically is uploadable and then embeddable sound players. And they said, what would it take to get you to switch from SoundCloud, which we've used for the last year, and I've been very happy with. And I said, well, we're making this change, and we're going to we need to integrate tips into the actual players. We need to integrate, and then I also wanted to integrate an affiliate program into the players itself, so that when you create a piece of content and you upload it, then you put the tip address into it, and any tips that go mostly to that address. But content creators would also have the ability to say, okay, any tips that come in through a player that someone embeds on their own website, they can put in their own address and get 20% or 10% or whatever percentage they want of the tip. And so it creates the system where people profit from people being generous on their platform, and it's generosity that as someone receiving the tip, you might not have gotten if they hadn't done that. This is something that we found, is that a lot of people will embed our tip information, but a lot of people also leave it off entirely, and some people, maybe 10, 20%, will change the tip information and change it to their own and just won't mention it. So, there's not really a way to fight that except by going down this path and actually integrating the tip portion with the content itself. And so they came back to me after about a week and a half and said that they had talked about it and that they were very interested in doing that. And I told them that if they want to come along, I'm happy to drag them into the future with us.
What would happen if LTBcoin adoption became greater than Bitcoin? I just see that given the access to mining, which is not really mining essentially, it's earned, potentially we could touch a greater market than Bitcoin at this current point, just because we're making it that much easier for, I think, users to adopt cryptocurrency. So what would happen if
Bitcoin is built on top of Bitcoin, so to a certain extent there are some limiting factors here. Bitcoin is currently restricted by 7 transactions per second. I know that those are kind of artificial limitations that can be fixed, but there are scalability issues if we're really successful here. So the good news, again, is that we can use proof of burn, and like I said, the non-inflammatory name for that is token exchange. And we can just say, okay, for every 1 LTB you have here, we're moving into this new chain, and you get 1 over there. It's pretty straightforward. So we have the ability to kind of flex and grow as we need to. But I'm very interested to see what happens with Bitcoin. I don't think it's necessarily LTBcoin that'll be a threat, but I think that there are a lot of these currencies out there that do everything that Bitcoin does and more. And I think that so long as those things are true, that's the first real threat that Bitcoin has faced. Litecoin has never been a threat. When somebody exists to be in second place, they don't cross the finish line first unless something fundamentally breaks in the system, and then they have that opportunity where otherwise they wouldn't. So if Shaw broke and Script was suddenly, and it was all about script coins, then Litecoin would win. But that's the scenario where Litecoin surpasses Bitcoin. But here you're right. There are a lot of different uses, and if people wind up preferring these custom currencies and just using Bitcoin as a highway to get in and out of them, and then holding, you could hold 25 different custom currencies that all give you an advantage with one particular place that you go or like to hang out. I don't know. I think it's very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of months.
Yeah, I kind of see Bitcoin as being the kind of gold or reserve currency among everything, just because it's the most liquidable. So there's a variety of places where you can use it that touch pretty much every market we can think of, and that's growing every day. And I think, I think that LTBcoin has a great avenue to be, a backbone for Bitcoin and add more incentive for actually using Bitcoin. So I don't really view it as a competitor. Any more questions?
Could I just scale it back a little bit? So I find this whole concept fascinating, the idea that you can like influence people's behavior with an incentive and just bootstrapping a network in general. How much of an impact do you think these style of coins will have in the next 5-10 years or so?
I think that these are going to change everything.
I agree.
Actively Disengaged asked if this could be a competitor to Liberty.me, which is Jeffrey Tucker's upcoming social network, liberty-oriented social platform. And actually, not only is this not a competitor to Liberty.me, because it's not really a social network, we're going to have forum and community elements, but it's just different. But I actually had a conversation with he and Michael Megan the other day about creating one of these tokens for Liberty.me to incentivize activity on their forums and to incentivize activity on their community. Because again, like you could do proof of posting and proof of, like going to a Liberty event. Like anything that you want to incentivize with these things, all you need to do is create a token. So I have an analogy that I've been trying to figure out how to properly articulate that basically talks about how you can use this technology to bootstrap a wishing well. And how a wishing well is sort of this fanciful thing, where like it doesn't actually generate any sort of results for you. And so if you stumble across one, even if it's a real magical looking one, you're probably not going to throw in a gold penny that you have in your pocket. That's all you have. So people who have Bitcoin, they're not really compelled to do these things because they have something that's valuable versus something that's arbitrary. And given the top two options, you're not going to spend the value in that situation if you're making the right decision. So you could bootstrap a wishing well by putting a token dispenser next to it and say, that distributes 10 quarters a day or something like that. And, if you're the first one that finds it, then that means you get 10 free quarters a day. And you can, throw 5 into the wishing well, make 5 free wishes, and then, save some for a rainy day or whatever. And, you come back each day. And over time, as it gets more popular, you reach a point where not everybody can throw in a free token per day because there are more people who want the free token than free tokens that are available per day. So that's how the market essentially gives a value to them. Would it have happened? Would anybody have ever thrown anything in, making a good choice for themselves if that token dispenser hadn't been there as a bootstrapping mechanism to make it so that the first people who found it could do it for free? No, probably not. But at a certain point, the market does find value in it if there's value to be had. So I think that this is true with a wishing well, because the incentives are there. But it's true with all of these other projects so much more because the community itself, once you have successfully done the bootstrapping part, the community itself is value and value generating just because it exists. So really the question isn't, does community have value? The question is, how do we build valuable community when we don't start with valuable community? And I think that this is the answer.
Yeah, we just got another question. Hey, we already appreciate loading up the Starbucks card to buy coffee, so why not LTBcoin for consuming content?
Yeah, so right now we're not going to charge for content. It's kind of interesting. This network doesn't really rely on anybody paying for stuff. The goal is to achieve as wide a distribution as possible, and the idea that you would charge for content implies that you're only going to give it to the people who are willing to pay you for it. So there are some projects that we're pushing towards that have an exclusive level to them. Incidentally, I'm currently staffing up the Altcoin Observer, which is going to be a newsletter that's going to be available for LTBcoin cheaper than in Bitcoin, and essentially deal with various coins. So if you're interested in getting involved with that, we're putting that crew together over the next 2 weeks, basically. And so, I mean, like, there's a lot of projects. There's a lot of projects. If you want to get in, whether it's on the content side, whether it's on the technical side, whether it's on the philosophical side, we really need people on every way. And there isn't a lot of structure right now. That's the thing that I'm really bad at. I'm good at content. I'm good at this meta stuff. I'm good at ideas, but I'm really bad at structure. LTBcoin.com is the place to sign up. So thanks everybody for coming to this. This was good. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do this kind of frequently. I have a kind of crazy schedule for the next 3 weeks, so I'm probably going to do this again next Saturday, and then we'll do it after I get back from all the conferences again. The schedule right now, our 1 year anniversary is April 25th. I plan to have a variety of things relaunched by that point. I'd like to make a number of announcements about partnerships at that point too. The plan is to have the test version of LTBcoin available next week. And I'm not saying exactly what that's going to be called, but it'll be very obvious that it is test and not the real LTBcoin. So don't worry about somebody offering to sell it to you and not knowing that it's the wrong one.
Yes, it'll. It'll say.
I do have that concern that it's really easy to start something like this, and it seems like people do try to take advantage of people, and people don't want to miss out on opportunities, so they kind of act fast without doing their due diligence. So there's going to be lots of time to get LTB coin. I wouldn't concern yourself too much with it. If you want to make sure you're going to get some, then register at the LTBcoin.com forums and make 5 posts between now and the time we launch. That's the LTBcon. I like that.
There was another good suggestion on the YouTube channel. Might could be a good slogan for the coin. Will work for coin.
Yeah.
I mean, because that kind of I think focuses the idea of what really differentiates LTB coin from everything.
Well, but see, here's the thing though, is that it differentiates it now, but it's not going to differentiate it in a month. And month, 2 months, there are going to be lots of coins out that are going to try to do this basically same thing. It's going to be easy, and people are going to understand as soon as somebody proves the model. So that's the goal, I think, is to prove the model. Once we succeed with this, there are actually lots of potential venues that could happen here. We can through Counterparty, you can do things like dividends, and there's a variety of other things that you can do with it too. One of the other interesting parts is that we're going to create the tokens themselves that represent sponsor slots are going to be tokens themselves that are tradable on the Counterparty network. So you'll bid for a sponsor token with LTB coin, and then when you have the sponsor token, you'll be able to essentially turn it in and redeem it with the show, and then they'll put you on basically. But the point of that is that it makes it so that we can sell them like a month in advance, and then people can actually trade them. So somebody can buy a sponsor spot with the idea that they don't necessarily have anything that they want to do with it, but they know people, or they think that they know people who comply with the standards on the LTB network or the specific show that they're involved in, because each show or each blog is going to have its own kind of specific standards too, in addition to the network standards. And then resell it for whatever price they can get between the difference they paid for it in LTB coin and what they can get for it in Bitcoin. And again, because this is a transparent process, that's how it'll start, because the people who want to get who want to buy sponsorships aren't necessarily going to understand how this is working, but people can act opportunistically and essentially be commissioned salespeople working for us, where the commission is the difference between what they pay and what they're able to achieve. So I like that idea. I like the ideas that let us create sets of rules and then let people put themselves into the position, do the job that we need done, and then get compensated based on that. And at the same time, market for us, basically, is what's happening there.
So so I guess go to LTBcoin.com to really get involved in the community and find out more information on everything that's going on with LTB Coin. We're going to try to, I guess, do this podcast or whatever you want to call it once a week to talk about everything that's going on with LTB Coin. And yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, so we'll set this up again for next week. One thing that I'm very conscious of that we're currently missing is a blog for the LTB Coin concept. We're running the Let's Talk Bitcoin, content stuff, but we're not actually doing a meta blog where it's just simple and you can go and learn everything you need to know about it. Right now, you need to go to the forums. I'm hoping to remedy that before I leave for all the conferences I need to get ready for. And basically, that is high on my priority list. And again, if you're a developer or you want to get involved, we actively need help right now in a variety of capacities. So
essentially like a wiki right now, like an LTB Coin wiki is what is kind of needed.
Well, I don't know if it's a wiki. I think that the forum basically does the job of a wiki. There's a lot of information. It's all under topics. It's not specific, and topics go off topic within them. But I'm not a big fan of wikis. I think a blog is simple, and that's what we're probably going to wind up doing. And again, it'll just be the basic information that you need, and we'll update it as we go.
Just count me in for anything related to blogs and that sort of thing on LTV. And I agree, a wiki is probably very technical for most folks out there.
Yeah, accessibility is what we're looking for here. Great, thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for doing this. We're at just a little bit less than 2 hours, so that's better than I thought we were going to be. So we'll set up another one for next week. And then if people are willing to do it while I'm traveling, then I'd be happy if, these Hangouts did happen weekly when I'm not here, too. That'd be great. I'm really actively trying to make myself not the point of failure on this, because that would be bad. So great. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll set this up again for next time. And, I'm looking forward to doing this with you.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Matt.
Hey, nice to meet you, John. You guys take
guys.
care. Hey, maybe we should end it with Ode to Satoshi.
Hey, that's a
You
good
want to sing
idea.
it, Matt?
Hang on a second.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's okay. I'm gonna end the broadcast now. Thanks.
We can do that. Let's see. Well, Satoshi Nakamoto, that's the name I love to say. And we don't know much about him, but he came to save the day. When he wrote about the way things are and the way things ought to be, he gave us all the protocol this world had never seen. Our Bitcoin actually going into the old blockchain. Our Bitcoin, I know you're gonna reign. And everybody knows, cause everybody knows your name. And everybody knows you're giving some exposure. Everybody knows your name.
John, I love that you're sitting there with guitar ready to go out.
Hey, dude, he was ready to go, man.
I had to pull it off the wall. It hangs on the wall.
That's great. I love it. That's
Thanks,
fantastic. Yeah. All right, guys. See you next time.
Thanks so much, John.
Thanks, guys.
You guys.